Good morning. I'm John St. Clair, the chairman of the Shoshone Business Council. Today we have a number of different subjects we want to cover. Some of the other council members will be talking about those. We also have David Meyers, the director of the Shoshone Tribal Health Department. First of all, I want to begin with a moment of silence for the late Elaine Tillman. Elaine was a patient at the Lander Valley Regional Medical Center emergency room when she was brutally attacked by another patient. This happened on November 26, 2020. On December 9th, she passed away as a result of her injuries. Our hearts, condolences, and prayers go out to her family for this tragic and unnecessary loss of life. The incident brings to the forefront our concern for our tribal members who utilize this facility. It's too early to draw any conclusions because an investigation has not been completed. However, let me say that whoever goes to a hospital expects to receive care. That's what Elaine expected. However, she lost her life. Today's program will begin with Michael Ute and David Meyers. They'll cover an update on the present COVID order, the status of the COVID funding that will expire at the end of December. Also talk about the Shoshone Rose, our plans for the next 30 days. And Dave will follow up and finish with the update as to the present vaccine that's been approved by the Federal Drug Administration. Western Gus Thayer will talk about our Buffalo facility and what's happening with that, the status of it, any new developments that are going to be happening going into the future, and the plans that we have for that project. Vice Chairman John Washakie will give you an update on the activities that are scheduled or maybe not scheduled for the holidays and the announcement from the Entertainment Committee. Finally, I will close with an update on the merit arbitration and a statement about the hemp.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to touch on a few subjects today, and hopefully it doesn't become too convoluted or difficult to understand. So I'll do my best here. I wanted to remind people that we are still under an order from the Intertribal Council, which mandates face coverings in all public places. It is essentially the same order that was in effect from August. The main points are smaller gatherings, as small as you possibly can, no more than 10 in an indoor setting, no more than 50 in an outdoor setting. We will be revising this order to reinstate the curfew, but more details on that as that becomes available. Just remember, we are still under that order. Do your best to follow those orders for the safety of our community. Next up, we got the COVID funding. I know I had a lot of questions about that. There was a lot of misinformation out there, and there was a lot of throwing around ideas about what should have been done. Those go into the woulda, coulda, shoulda file. I'm going to give you the facts. I'm going to give you what I know, and I'm going to try to do that as quickly as possible. I want to remind people we were originally awarded $12,374,109. That was our total award. We are currently fully allocated, so that means that we got all of the money out, or it's allocated to a certain program or a certain cause or a certain project. This means that we cannot take on any more new projects. We can't get any more new ideas with it. It's all allocated or it's all obligated. There's a few figures that I wanted to throw out there, and this stuff will all become public once we get final numbers, and I'll touch on that a little bit. It's a little hard to understand, especially with the weatherization project, but we'll jump into it a little bit here. The first $800, and just so you can understand where some of the money is going and just how massive some of these numbers are. So again, $12 million we were awarded. The first $800 payment, if you remember that took up $3.5 million all on its own. Okay, so you take that 12 million that we got, you subtract $3.5 million. That's how this works. The food security, which was the $600 payment for adults, that took up $1.7 million. The weatherization project was allocated $1.6 million. This is hard to understand because we just don't know what each individual will need done to their home, or the extent of the damages or the repairs that they need. That is done by a case-by-case basis. We have Bull Lake Construction doing their very best out there. I know some people were left in the dark on how they were doing some of their work or some of their projects. Just keep in mind that this is probably the biggest project that the Shoshone Tribe has ever done for this many homes, with this much money, with this much labor involved. Very labor intensive, and if you see anybody from Bull Lake Construction out there, thank them for doing the work that they're doing for us, for the elders. I do want to remind people that the main idea behind the COVID funding was to keep elders safe in their homes. They are the most susceptible to the COVID-19 virus, and that was what we did, keeping that in mind once we started allocating most of this money. So that was a weatherization project that is currently streaming out. It's hard to pin down a solid number on that, but we're doing our best. Currently, we have about $1 million in materials and labor that is out on that, and we are, I wouldn't even say 3/4 of the way done. This will probably extend into next year, and we're trying to get everybody taken care of, and we're doing our best to make sure that we're freeing up more money to pump into that, just so everybody that got on the list gets taken care of. Any questions on that, and any questions relating to the COVID-19 funding will go to Karen Snyder. You can also ask questions specific to weatherization to Alicia Cook at the senior center, and then she can help point you in the right direction. We also did a few programs. We helped stabilize the solid waste. Those are our dumps, and the Shoshone Roads program, so that they can update some other outdated equipment and provide more services. We also used about $1.5 million to stabilize the Shoshone Tribe itself. As a lot of you know, back in March, April, things took a turn for the worse. We lost a lot of our funding. We were kind of at the end of our rope in terms of funding. People were about to lose jobs. This COVID funding, we had to use some of that to pump it right back into there. So that was a justification on that. And we quickly figured out we were not equipped to run most of our programs digitally or virtually or over the internet. So that a lot of that was used to do that. I just want to say again, the monies that we got from the Treasury for this COVID funding is currently completely allocated. That's not to say that it's all expended. That just means that it's all going somewhere. We have a use for it somewhere. Any questions on that? Again, can ask Karen Snyder. The last thing that we did with the COVID funding was we opened up a $40 voucher. Now that's going to go towards the 60 and over crowd. You can pick that up at the Warm Valley Senior Center. You can ask Alicia Cook about that. You can also ask Karen Snyder if you have any questions on that. Her office is at the Intertribal Joint Complex. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, we will be using the Shoshone Rose Hotel portion of the casino as a quarantine unit. We do that is necessary. I know that there was some ideas out there in the public about using older homes or using vacant homes wherever anybody sees them out in the community. So that's hard to do. Once we start trying to figure out we're going to use a home for quarantine, you have to renovate it. You have to make sure that it's ready. You have to make sure that the electricity is on, heating's, everything that somebody would need to live in there, that needs to be done. The easiest thing for us to do was to be using our the hotel, which is not being used because it's currently shut down because of the COVID-19 virus. We decided to use the Shoshone Rose Hotel for a quarantine unit. Now, the quarantine unit will be used for people that need to be away from people that have tested positive. It is not for the people that have tested positive. It is for the people that need to be quarantined away from those individuals. And I just wanted to say that at the beginning of this thing, we did not encounter needing a quarantine unit. So none of our funding was actually allocated towards that at the beginning, which was kind of our mistake, but it was basically an oversight that we didn't see. When you really think about it, it seems easy enough because you start thinking, well, if they test positive or somebody else tests positive, they can just stay at their home, and that's the quarantine. But in reality, it doesn't work this way. You need to be able to separate these people, especially with the people that are living in multi-generational homes. You have an elder that you do not want to get the virus, so you separate the other people out, but those people need somewhere to go. I believe the start date for that will be the 21st, and then David Meyers will also be able to talk a little bit more about that. The SBC will not be in charge of actually figuring out who goes there. We're leaving that up to our health professionals. So I wanted to introduce our Tribal Health Director, David Meyers. He'll give you a little bit of an update, talking about our community and what you can do to keep yourself safe. Thank you. Delay in there. Are they still seeing me? All right, thanks, Councilman. Hello, and I guess it would be noontime now, so good mid-morning, good afternoon. I was asked by SBC to come in and say a few words on where we're at as a program, the things that we're working on. And first and foremost, it's really important to thank the healthcare workers in our communities. You know, the Indian Health Service Clinic, our long-term care facility, Morningstar, dialysis, and even Wind River Cares. All these groups have come together along with Tribal Health to work together during time of pandemic to do the best we can to provide the services and keep services going for the needs of the community. You know, all these services we've been working on since March. Throughout the summer, these services are definitely strained. People are tired, healthcare workers are tired.
They've been through seeing a lot of loss in our communities from COVID-19 and the virus and how it's been impacting our communities. But we're here. We've been here since March, providing the services. I just wanted to touch on a few things. I'll get into the vaccines here and a little bit about the quarantine that we're working on. But I really wanted to acknowledge our healthcare field workers that are out there doing this day in, day out, and tirelessly providing the services the best they can. So, just asking the community, be patient with these facilities. Everybody's doing their best and trying to provide the service during this time of pandemic. I just wanted to touch on a few things. I know vaccines are coming out. People have a lot of questions on that stuff, and we'll provide that information to you when it becomes available to us to help you understand the vaccination process, the safety of it, some of the things that are coming out of that vaccination. But I really wanted to get to a point, we're beyond asking individuals and our community members to wear masks, to social distance, to limit your gatherings, and to be aware of your surroundings. We're seeing this, people are doing their best to take precautions, when they're out there shopping, when they're out there taking care of their business. But we're really seeing a large impact of people letting guards down within their homes, within their safety of their families. And it only takes one person that becomes positive to really spread that within the household. So that's the concern. We're at that point where we're beyond asking, we're pleading. I'm pleading. Pleading with our community members to take care of one another, to take care of your families, take care of your elders in your community. The healthcare facilities are there to help and to provide that service, but it really comes down to us as a community to take care of one another. Culturally, that's what we are, and that's what we do. That's what we have our ceremonies for. That's what we have our gatherings for. And what time we can't do that at this particular moment. But that's what those are for, is always to take care of each other and to think of one another. And really, that's what we're asking. Just because we don't put the name ceremony to what we're trying to accomplish here with wearing the mask, social distancing, being aware of your surroundings, it's still a very important part and the key part to taking care of one another, to take care of each other as a community. The coronavirus impacts everybody differently. And I think that's what I want to get across to in this message today. We have a group of individuals that are asymptomatic people, which means they can be positive and not even know that they're positive. And not knowing you're positive is scary enough, because you don't know whether or not you're impacting a certain individual that may not be able to fight this virus off. We have individuals, a group of people, percentage of people that get the virus positive and have minimal symptoms. For some of you, it could be as simple as just feeling like a head cold, mild symptoms, coughing, runny nose, but you're still a positive person that could impact somebody else. And if you're experiencing these, that's I think that we would hope everybody would have these mild symptoms, because the other side of that is a percentage of people that aren't having those mild symptoms. If you're having these mild symptoms, definitely, be thankful that these symptoms aren't impacting you as greatly as others. And be mindful that you can protect others from yourself, from you. And that's the message I want to get across. We have a group of people that do fight off the virus but have a difficult time. We're seeing a period of almost 20 days for those individuals that really are impacted by this virus and affects them differently. And then we have a group of individuals that this virus is deadly. That the elder population, and not everybody, as you probably have seen in the community, are elders that are facing this deadly virus. We're seeing the impacts with younger generations and younger people that are losing their lives to this. It's difficult, and I want to get this point across. When your family member is impacted deadly with this virus, and they face death because of it, we have, this is the holiday season, and many people are grieving, many people are mourning because of the impact this virus has had on their family members. And all it takes is some simple things that we're asking, really. Things of wearing your mask. It can make a difference, and really it could save somebody's life. And that's all we're asking. Social distancing, leave the politics outside the door and just take care of your community. That's all we're asking. Take care of one another. Just take these simple steps to protect others and protect yourself. I'm really here today to plead with you, plead with our communities to do that. Even if we can get it to the next 2-3 months, that would definitely make a difference for somebody's family member that could possibly face death with this coronavirus. And that's the reality of it. All I want to say is, my heart and our hearts, I speak for tribal health workers because this is, I know they would want to say this, our hearts are saddened with the impacts of what has happened here with our communities during this pandemic. And my deepest condolences go out to those families that have lost loved ones to this, because the truth about it is they don't get the opportunity to be there with their loved ones when it comes to this pandemic, and you're alone in that situation, and that's tragic, and that's terrible, and that's sad in itself. And so many people are going through it out there. We have many people during this holiday season that are going to be grieving and going through that process. And if our community would just come together and take care of one another during this time, it would definitely help slow this process. So I'd like to take this time, as John did early on, and even just 5 seconds of our time, to think about those that have lost their battle and lost their fight with this virus at this particular time. Thank you. So I'm going to transition into talking about the vaccine and what we're trying to do to work together with all the healthcare facilities in our area and even the state to do all we can to battle this, what we're going through. The casino, as the Shoshone Rose, as Mike had brought up, we're working with providers to come up with a plan based on case by case, the need for that quarantine, um, and trying to come up with the best possible scenario we can to help those out there that need this support. Of course, the support, the need is great, and it may not be available for everyone, and that's the reality of that too as well. But we'll work with our healthcare providers to do the best we can. The curative testings is something that tribal health has been able to access through the Wyoming Department of Health. We're in the process right now of working with them to bring in a trailer that'll be placed at Rocky Mountain Hall. The hope was before the holiday season had hit, so people could, anyone and everyone in our community that wanted to get tested can get tested. That has been pushed back just a little bit to probably around the 1st of January. So we're hoping to have widespread testing available for anyone that wants to get tested, for possibly a 2-week period of time, located at the Rocky Mountain Hall building as a drive-through service. So that would definitely help individuals understand whether or not they're positive or need quarantine, and also those asymptomatic people that may not know they're positive, help them identify whether or not they are, and know that they need to protect themselves and isolate and protect others from themselves, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And hopefully that'll help slow that spread. Of course, the vaccines, I know people have questions on that. And like I said, we'll work with all the healthcare providers to help get that information out to you as quick as possible, to help you feel comfortable with going through that process of the vaccination. Those are some of the steps that we're trying to put forward so everybody has access to testing. And as we work on vaccinations, our goal with tribal health with vaccinations is to be able to have that available when it becomes more widely available for community. Right now, I know you guys are probably paying attention to the news feeds and what's going on out there. It's really limited to each state how much vaccinations are available right now. So most likely the first batch will be for those healthcare workers, those long-term facilities, those frontline workers that are out there working with community. Where we may not see access for community, maybe, I don't know. I don't have a real projection on where that is, and really nobody knows. But our goal is to, as we get further down the line, 3-4 months down the road, that these vaccines are available to get out to the community. And that's what that's what we're working on, is to be able to be mobile enough to help vaccinate people, and go to them. Our service units and our healthcare providers will have vaccinations as well. So it's just a way to maximize all our efforts to make it available for everyone. We may not see vaccinations widely available for community right away, but that's what we're working on. Any way possible that we can get vaccinations. Those, if you've been paying attention to the news, there's 2 out there right now, Moderna and Pfizer. And Pfizer right now is the one that's going out within this week. We will be working on, we're trying to get, working with our resources we were working with at the beginning of the pandemic to try to get some food distribution again. But we want to do that in the safest way possible. Like I said, everything that we do as a program with gathering and getting information out, we've had to find alternate ways to make that available safely for our community. So that's what we'll be working on. I can't tell you when that projected time is to do a distribution, but those are some things that we'll get out to you as promptly as we can. Oftentimes we get supplies like all of a sudden and right away, and then we just try to get it out. And I know trying to get that message out more widespread, it's a little bit more difficult during this time. So we'll work with Eastern Shoshone Tribe and ourselves to get that information out. Again, I just want to go back to this and just plead with you. You know, it's gone beyond asking. It's pleading with everyone out there to take care of one another. It's all of our job. It's just not one. It's not one program, one healthcare facility, or anybody's job to do this for you. It takes us. It takes us as a community to do it for ourselves, and that's what I'm pleading for you out there. I know on holiday seasons we like to gather for meals. You know, I don't want you to. We shouldn't live in fear of this, but we just need to take those precautions to make sure that we're doing everything possible to protect one another. And that's all I'm asking. Try to limit the amount of gatherings that you have, even if it's during the holiday season. I know that's a lot to ask, but like I said, you take those precautions, you don't know who you're going to save in making those actions. And that's all we're asking. I thank you for this time, and I thank the council for letting me come in and speak with you today. And this is probably something that I need to implement maybe on a bi-weekly informational for the community, so they know actually the work that's being put out there and what's being done. There's a lot of components to this, and a lot of meetings to this to make things happen. So thank you again. You know, if you have any questions, you can definitely call my office and ask those questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. Thanks.
Hello, people. Thank you, Council and Dave Meyers, Tribal Health, and Alejandro for setting this up. What I want to do is just give a brief update on our Buffalo restoration program. We just had a Zoom meeting this morning with our Tribal Buffalo coordinator, Jason Valdez, and he enlightened us on what's going on with our Buffalo herd and program and the future. So in 2009, the Shoshone Tribe passed a resolution for a buffalo restoration program. And in 2016, the first buffalo arrived, brought to the Shoshone Tribe. Currently, the buffalo are pastured on a 300 plus acre plot of land that's owned by the Shoshone Tribe. We currently have 32 buffalo, 6 new buffalo calves this year, and in the future we need to have additional habitat for feed and water for a growing herd. So the Jason Valdez, our tribal buffalo coordinator, is working with 2 adjacent landowners or ranchers, George Hellier and family and Channing Glick and family, working along with the National Wildlife Federation. They're the ones that fund our program to acquire more acreage for our buffalo herd. The George Hellier acreage would be 500 additional acres, as well as Channing Glick's ranch, which is another 500 acres. And along with the acreage, there'll be also a ranch house and a corral system, so they can work the buffalo herd. So they'll be working on this spring. So that'll more than double our acreage, our current acreage. We do harvest the buffalo occasionally and distribute the meat to the different tribal programs, the elders, the needy families. So, we, our buffalo herd are genetically pure, and they're certified disease-free, which is unique with many buffalo herds in the United States. So we want to continue to expand our buffalo herd and our acreage. And additionally, ultimately, we would like to put them on the range land so that they'd have be more free roaming. That we do need to, the Shoshone Tribe needs to include the buffalo on the Fish and Game Code to as a protected big game species, so that ultimately we can even put them back in the mountains. So in the future, we may be able to hunt the species as a big game animal. And the buffalo do many things for our people, and that's what all the many uses we have. We have a great history with the buffalo and a connection. And so they not only provide all the uses, they also, they're ecologically help the land and many other species out. And they provide educational opportunities for our young people and our school kids. So I just want to thank Jason Valdez, our coordinator, Dennis O'Neill, our manager, the two adjacent ranch owners that are willing to work with us for the future of our buffalo herd. Thank you. Stay safe.
Good afternoon. The COVID pandemic has really changed our lives, from the way we work to the way we send our children to school. But most of all, at this time of year, it has really changed our social lives. Generally, at Rocky Mountain Hall, there would be many activities taking place. But this is not a normal year, and we want to ask you to practice all those things that make it safe for you, for your children, and for others. Wear a mask. And as I said, we've had a lot of changes. Entertainment Committee is no different. They have had to adapt to this new way of life. And this year, the Entertainment Committee is sponsoring a Christmas-themed photo contest. The 3 categories and prizes are listed on the posted pamphlets in many of the public places. And if you take the time to read them, you'll see a big change to what they've done in the past. The 3 categories are Best Traditional Christmas Picture, Best Ugly Res Christmas Sweater, and Best Outdoor Christmas Decorations. There are prizes and gifts for each of these. And if you're interested in participating, you can find the information at the ESEC Committee @gmail.com. It's a site for the entertainment committee, and I'm sure that you'll find everything there that might interest you. Like I say, this is not a normal year and things have changed. I want you to be safe. Enjoy the Christmas this year, and perhaps in the future, we can get back to normal and again, enjoy and celebrate at Rocky Mountain Hall with that great big Christmas tree. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
At this time, I want to demonstrate on how to put a mask on. The last two subjects that will be covered, and I know this is getting to be kind of lengthy, but I feel these issues are important. I just want to give an update on the merit arbitration that the tribes won on November 18th. That order allows merit to match any third-party proposal to operate the field. So we are looking into that. We're in the process of getting an assessment on the environmental impact of the oil operation out there, and also an appraisal of the assets that are out there, including the reserves, the reserve oil that's there, to plan on how we're gonna start operating this field again. The the deadline for merit to match any third-party claims is February 18th, 2020. The initial plan was to create a limited liability corporation that would a lease would be entered into between the tribes and that corporation. The corporation then would put in for funding, and the corporation would select and hire the operator in the field. We're looking at other alternatives to that. And just let you know that we are not committed to that path right now. There may be something different coming up, but I don't want to put out anything in those areas because those are highly confidential. For now, we're just getting the assessment and the value of what's out there. The transition of the whole operation should be completed by the 18th of March. The final issue I want to look at today is the hemp. Now, previously, the General Council had passed an ordinance for the tribe to look into this and to come up with some kind of a project to develop a hemp operation on the reservation here. And I think that's a very important issue that we have, because it's something that will diversify our economy. We will use our water and our land for that. And the most important resources are people. So we don't want to let that fall by the wayside. We want to keep that going. We can't just rely on the oil and gas to provide our revenues, because if we look at the past year, the market went down, our revenues went down. And like was said earlier, we had a financial crisis. Not only do we need to look at hemp, but we need to look at wind and solar energy. Wyoming has a lot of sunlight, more than 300 days out of a year. And we all know how much wind we have, especially around Crowheart, down toward Thermopolis. So those are the kind of projects we want to look at, and hopefully we can get something going. Right now, we're pretty much strapped by the COVID, but we're not letting these issues die. We think the future for the tribe is now. The oil and gas market is diminishing because of the market going down. It's a non-renewable resource. That means that if you use it, you can use it up because there's only a limited amount in the ground. With the wind and the sun, that will never be depleted. So I want to thank you for listening to us today. I know it's been pretty lengthy. I want to plead with you, like Mr. Meyers did, to be safe out there, but not only for yourself, but for your relatives and your neighbors and the rest of the community. Wish you happy holidays, and hopefully we can look to a bright future next year and put this pandemic behind us. Thank you very much.